After 12 months of silence, discover how my heartwarming surprise changed Christmas forever. Emily stood at the window, the snow swirling outside like delicate confetti. It all felt surreal, as if the world outside was parading in festive joy while her heart felt burdened with sorrow. The memories from a year ago flooded her mind, the laughter, the warmth of her husband's embrace, his last soft whisper, now silent forever. She turned away, forcing a smile for 6-year-old Lily, who was busy cutting out paper snowflakes, her spirit untouched by the heaviness that weighed on her mother's heart. "No more crying, Mama," Lily said, looking up with bright eyes as she taped her colorful creations to the window. It broke Emily's heart all over again. Her little girl deserved joy, especially during Christmas, but how could she bring cheer when her own heart felt like a winter wasteland? The holidays consumed their quaint town of Cedar Grove, Ohio, with lights twinkling on every street corner. Yet, despite the cheerful atmosphere, Emily felt as if she was wrapped in a thick fog of loneliness, spending long evenings working shifts at the diner and cleaning houses to scrape by. Her father's voices echoed in her head, urging her to reach out for support, but the years of strained silence between them held her back. She didn't want to be a burden. She hated the thought of dragging others down with her grief. And then it happened. A fierce winter storm swept in like a scene from a classic movie, throwing sheets of snow against her window. Emily bundled Lily up, thinking they'd hunker down with hot cocoa and family movies, just like they used to. But as the hours dragged on and the storm intensified, Emily's heart sank. Then, a knock at the door shattered her solitude. She hesitated, glancing at the clock and wondering who could be out in such a storm. As she opened it, there stood Mrs. Thompson, her elderly neighbor, haloed by snowflakes and grinning widely despite the frigid air. "Emily dear, I brought cookies." Amidst the chaos of the storm, Mrs. Thompson unfurled a tale of unity, sharing how she rallied the town together for a surprise Christmas celebration for Emily and Lily. The warmth of her words filled the room, igniting a flicker of hope in Emily's heart. It was overwhelming, the noise of laughter, the scent of pine and baked goods, the gathering of a community that had not forgotten her, and a tight chest threatened to stifle her emotions. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As the hours melted into a symphony of festivity, neighbors brought food, laughter echoed off the walls, and the flickering lights danced like fireflies. Emily felt warmth bloom within her. Maybe seeking help wasn't a weakness after all. Perhaps it was an admission of the strength and love woven into the fabric of family and community. Just then, her cell phone buzzed against the table, pulling her back to a sudden reality. A text from her father appeared. "I want to come over. Can we talk?" Anxiety twisted in her belly like a knot. Could she open that door too? The celebration around her grew louder, and the glow of the holiday lights seemed brighter than before. But the past loomed like an icy shadow, leaving Emily torn. Would she face the man she had distanced herself from for so long? Could she allow love to bridge the gaps of hurt? With her heart pounding like a drum, she stood at that crossroad, knowing this Christmas would be different. If only she could summon the courage to embrace the unknown. Emily stared at the vibrating phone, her breath hitching as she read and reread her father's message. The festive cheer surrounding her seemed to fade into a dull hum. A part of her wanted to run to tuck herself away in the cozy corner of the couch and disappear into the laughter of her neighbors who didn't know her pain. But another part felt the whisper of hope. She glanced over at Lily, who was twirling around the living room in a flurry of joy, her giggles punctuating the air like tiny bells. At that moment, Emily understood. Her daughter had never known the weight of years lost to misunderstandings. Lily was still the beautiful embodiment of hope, of family, and echo of the love that had once filled this house. "I'll be right back, sweet pea," Emily said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lily tilted her head, sensing the tension in the silence that had blanketed her earlier cheer. "Okay, Mama," she chirped, her innocence wrapping around Emily like a warm blanket as she returned to her snowflakes. With each step toward the door, Emily's heart raced. The path to healing was typically littered with the jagged pieces of fear, but each stride took her closer to clarity. She opened the door, the bitter cold biting at her cheeks, but the warmth of her resolve kept her steady. Her father stood there, shivering slightly, his once broad shoulders now rounded with age and time. His eyes, though tired, sparkled with the same familiar warmth that had comforted her in childhood. "Emily," he began, his voice cracking as if he wasn't entirely sure she would answer. "Dad," she replied softly, the word feeling both foreign and natural. An awkward silence enveloped them, thick like the snow piled around their feet. Memories stirred beneath the surface: family gatherings, holiday traditions, laughter that rang like music. But those memories were now painted with hues of hurt and loss. I came to make amends," he stammered, tension radiating off him. "I know I've been a lousy father. I didn't reach out when you needed me. I can't take that back, but please let me be here for you now." Emily met his gaze, and for the first time in a long while, she caught a glimpse of vulnerability. He looked weary, just as she felt. Maybe all along they had been standing on opposite sides of the same ripple, both needing the comfort of love, both too afraid to break the silence that had grown like a chasm between them. "I don't know how," she admitted, her voice wavering like the candlelight behind her. "I know," he said, a sad smile creeping onto his face. "But we don't have to rush. Just start somewhere." Just then, a burst of giggles erupted from the living room, filling the air with vibrant energy. It reminded Emily of what she had clung to throughout this year of loss: the chance to start anew, the chance to open her heart again, not just to Lily but to the possibility of family. With hesitant steps, she stepped aside and beckoned him in. "It's a bit chaotic, but join us. We have cookies," she said, her heart racing with a mix of fear and relief as he stepped over the threshold. A weight seemed to lift from her chest. Maybe they could find a way back to each other, one small step at a time. The door to her past was opening, but could they navigate the path towards healing without losing sight of what they had both loved? Emily watched as he took in the scene: Mrs. Thompson laughing, her neighbors bustling about, and Lily, bright-eyed and unburdened, dancing in the middle of it all. Would their first steps lead to the kind of celebration her heart longed for, or would they become consumed by the shadows that had haunted them for so long? She bit her lip, a sense of both hope and trepidation intertwining. This Christmas might very well become the one where she reignited a bond, but it would take more than just festivities. It would take bravery and forgiveness to redefine their family. What if this is the moment that everything changes? She thought, uncertain yet eager. The chaos of laughter surrounded her, but the biggest question remained. Could they both truly embrace a future together? As they meandered into the living room, a wave of noise washed over them. Children danced, adults chatted, and the scent of cinnamon wafted through the air like a comforting embrace. But for Emily, the noise faded into a gentle hum, the world around her blurring as she tried to process this moment. Lily spotted her mother and grandfather walking in, her little face lighting up like a Christmas tree. "Look, Mama, I made a snowflake," she announced, proudly holding up her creation, oblivious to the heavy history swirling around them. "That's beautiful, sweetheart," Emily said, her eyes meeting her father's. At that moment, she felt a flicker of warmth, a connection bridging all those lost years. "Is that a snowflake or a star?" he asked, kneeling down to Lily's level. Time seemed to slow as he genuinely engaged with her, laughter in his eyes. "It's both," Lily proclaimed, bouncing on her heels. "That sounds perfect," he replied, sharing a smile with Emily that felt like a tether pulling them back together. Maybe this was what they needed. A little bit of innocence to guide them forward. Emily watched as the room buzzed with energy. It was easy for memories to resurface, the faint echoes of laughter haunted by her father's absence, but the sight of Lily, all wide-eyed and carefree, pulled her back into the present. "Can I help decorate the cookies?" Lily asked, her voice slicing through the silence that lingered between Emily and her father. "Of course. Let us make them pretty," her father responded, enthusiasm bubbling in his tone as they ventured towards the kitchen. Emily felt a lingering apprehension. Her heart raced as she watched them interact. This was something she had longed for, yet the fragility of their new reality dangled precariously before her. Then, amidst the laughter and shared tasks, Emily joined them. She placed a hand on her father's back. A soft gesture, a sign of acceptance. "It's really good to have you here," she murmured, Her heart swelling with both relief and uncertainty, he glanced at her sideways. The life etched on his face revealing both manifestations of regret and a newfound depth. I'm grateful you gave me this chance. They worked side by side, frosting cookies and adding sprinkles while Lily animatedly recounted tales of her school day. With each shared giggle and smile, the wall that had stood between them for so long began to show cracks. Emily felt a warmth spreading through her, one that hinted at hope fragile yet tangible. Just as they finished decorating, a chorus of voices erupted from the living room. Surprise! A group of neighbors burst through the door carrying festive treats and good cheer. Emily glanced at her father, the surprise obvious in the shared wide-eyed awe. All around them, people were holding oversized bows, snowmen made of cookies and hot chocolate. It was chaotic, it was loud, but it was alive. The essence of community wrapped around them like a warm embrace. For a moment, Emily saw in her father's eyes the reflection of the joys of life, of togetherness, of laughter and warmth. She took a deep breath, a sense of belonging surging within her. Lily bounced between them, excitement pulsating through her little body. Join us, Grandpa. We're having a cookie party. As they stepped into the joyous upheaval, Emily felt the fear of the unknown slip away, replaced by the pulsing heart of a family that, although frayed, was still beating. But just as she thought they had turned a corner, her phone buzzed again in her pocket, a sharp reminder of the complexities lurking just beneath the surface. What if the news in that message threatened to unravel everything she had just begun to build? As she pulled it out, a knot twisted in her stomach. Could this Christmas prove to be both a celebration and a test? With trembling hands, she opened the notification, knowing her heart was about to face another challenge. Emily's heart raced as she stared at the screen, the familiar buzzing in her pocket now a glaring siren. The message read simply, "We need to talk. Important about your father." The words hung in the air around her, heavy and suffocating. It felt as if the warmth of the living room had vanished, leaving her in a cold chill of uncertainty. "Emily, you okay?" Her father's voice cut through the noise, pulling her back to the moment she blinked, forcing a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. "Yeah, just some updates about work." She quickly powered her phone off, tucking it back away to focus on the present. She watched Lily giggle with the neighbors, a flurry of cookie dough and sprinkles surrounding her like a whirlwind of joy. "Okay, everyone, let us start decorating," shouted one of the neighbors, her voice bright and inviting. Emily tried to push the message aside, wanting to immerse herself in the laughter and light of the room. As laughter erupted around them, she glanced at her father. He looked more alive than he had in years, the burdens of their past momentarily forgotten. How could she bring darkness into this brightness? Lily tugged at her hand. "Come on, Mommy. We need more sprinkles." The little girl's enthusiasm was infectious. "All right, let us go crazy with them," Emily agreed, kneeling down to playfully dump an avalanche of sprinkles on their latest cookie masterpiece. Despite herself, she felt the knot in her stomach loosen a bit. The sound of Lily's giggles filling a space inside her she didn't know was empty as they decorated cookies under the warm glow of fairy lights. Emily caught snippets of conversations around her, stories of family traditions, new recipes, and all the little joys wrapped in this season. At that moment, she marveled at how quickly life could shift from pain to joy, and yet how fragile that shift really was. Her father reached over and smeared frosting on the tip of her nose, catching her completely off guard. The laughter that followed was light, spontaneous, and it zipped through her, filling her with a warmth that had her heart swelling. "That was uncalled for," she exclaimed, but her grin betrayed her playful indignation. "Too bad. You look adorable," he chuckled, clearly enjoying this side of their relationship. But just as Emily was about to let herself fully embrace this moment, her phone buzzed in her pocket again. The weight of it felt even heavier this time. "Sorry, I just need to check this," she said reluctantly, stepping away from the coziness of the bustling kitchen to a quieter corner of the living room. With shaky fingers, she turned on her phone and gasped at the latest notification. It was a follow-up from the previous message. "It's about your mother." Deep breath. She squeezed her eyes shut for a second, swallowing hard. This was not how she pictured their family gathering. Perhaps it was too much to hope they could all be in one place, feeling safe and whole, only for something to threaten it all again. What could possibly be said that would bring her mother into this? And why now? Emily? Her father's voice called, pulling her back into the swirl of activity. You coming back? The warmth of the kitchen beckoned her, yet an overwhelming sense of dread anchored her in place. Would this news send her back into isolation? Back to the feeling she was just beginning to shake off? She took a deep breath, heart thumping against her ribs. The moment she had with her father felt too beautiful, too fragile to risk losing. Gathering her thoughts, she headed back to the kitchen, determined to shield her daughter from whatever storm was brewing just beyond the festivities. How is the cookie shaping up? She asked, forcing a smile as she re-entered the warmth. Great. It's a masterpiece. Lily squealed, completely oblivious to the cracks starting to form in her mother's facade. But for Emily, the cheerful chaos surrounded her like a bubble, beautiful and full of life yet threatening to burst. She could feel it in the air, a shift she couldn't ignore. And as laughter echoed around her, she realized that this Christmas might become a defining moment. It might just balance on the edge of hope and despair. What awaited her on the other side of this emotional roller coaster? With her heart heavy with indecision, she knew one thing for certain. She needed to face the truth, no matter how hard it felt. And whatever the outcome, it would come to light soon. How would she handle it when the past came calling? Emily returned to the kitchen, the sound of cheers and laughter washing over her like a wave. She took her place at the table once more, trying to absorb the happiness bouncing around. Yet, the heaviness of the unanswered message still lurked in the shadows of her mind. Lily pulled at her sleeve, her face smudged with frosting and joy. Mommy, your cookie. It needs more colors. She chimed, eagerly pointing at their cookie design, which now looked like a rainbow exploded on it. Okay, more colors it is. Emily called out, reaching for the frosting again. As she worked on the cookie, she noticed how effortlessly her father engaged with the neighbors, his laughter filling the space with warmth. For a fleeting moment, she wanted to cling to this scene and never let go. But just as quickly doubt crept back in. What could possibly break this fragile spell of happiness? Suddenly the doorbell rang, slicing through the jovial atmosphere. Emily's heart skipped a beat. The night had been too perfect. Could it really hold? Are you expecting someone? Her father asked, glancing at her with curiosity. No, she replied, her voice catching slightly. The knocking resumed, persistent. Let me get it, he offered, setting down the cookie and wiping his hands. He moved toward the door, and Emily's heart raced in anticipation. With a gentle creak, the door opened. Emily couldn't see who it was from her angle, but she could hear the faded murmurs on the other side, her father's voice lowering. A surprised gasp, then silence. A bolt of unease shot through her chest. Emily? Her father's voice broke through the tension, frayed and hesitant. You should see this. Her breath caught. What could possibly await her at the door? As she stepped forward, Emily's mind raced. Her mother hadn't been part of their lives for over a year. She had made her choice, and the silence that followed had been deafening. Why now? Lily's innocent curiosity cut through Emily's spiraling thoughts. Mommy, what is happening? Stay right here, honey. I'll be back, Emily said, her voice steadier than she felt. She moved closer to the door, each step feeling like a trek up a mountain. Emily finally reached the threshold and her eyes widened. It was her mother, a ghost from the past, cloaked in hesitation. She stood there, uncertainty written all over her face, just as Emily had imagined countless times but never truly believed could happen. Mom? Emily's voice quivered with disbelief. The silence that hung in the air was thick and heavy, each second stretching on like an eternity. Her mother's gaze searched Emily's face, and in that instant, a chasm of emotions collided: confusion, anger, longing, and a flicker of hope. Can we talk? Her mother's voice was barely a whisper, yet it carried the weight of all those years. The room seemed to shift, the laughter fading into a distant echo. Emily's heart raced anew, knowing this conversation held the potential to shatter everything she had built, or to heal the wounds that had festered for so long. Emily? Her father called again, concern evident in his tone. As she turned back to him, she felt a surge of protective instinct for Lily and her dad. The bubble of their happiness felt so close, yet so precarious. With her mother standing in the doorway, the world around her faded into a silent pause. What have you come to say? Emily finally asked, her voice trembling. This could either be the moment of reckoning or the unraveling of everything she held dear. Please, her mother replied, tears welling in her eyes. I just want a chance. And as the festive warmth of the kitchen engulfed her, Emily faced a storm of memories and emotions. Would she take that chance? And at what cost? The clock ticked audibly, reminding her that decisions must be made. Could forgiveness truly find a place amidst the chaos of their fractured past? As the night stretched ahead, Emily felt suspended between two worlds. Could this Christmas really transform everything? Or was it merely a painful reminder of what had been lost? The answer loomed ahead, just out of reach, waiting to surface. The warmth of the holiday kitchen felt like a distant memory as Emily stared at her mother, her heart clashing with the cacophony of emotions swirling around her. The cookies, once vibrant and bright symbols of joy, sat untouched, their colors fading into the background of a much larger picture: the confusing, fractured relationship with the woman before her. Emily, her mother whispered again, eyes brimming with tears, desperation spilling from every word. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Fighting the instinct to retreat, Emily ground her teeth, wrestling with the anger and ache that threatened to spill over. You chose to leave, Mom. We were fine without you. Her voice cracked, a mix of bitterness and sorrow. Lily, sensing the tension, sidled closer to Emily's leg, looking from one face to the other with wide, innocent eyes. Mommy, can we make more cookies? She asked, her small voice slicing through the heavy atmosphere. The sweetness of her question clung to Emily, but she couldn't escape the bitterness still lodged in her throat. No, honey. Just wait a minute, Emily managed, still staring at her mother, who looked so fragile standing there. Her father shifted nervously, hovering on the edge of the doorway, torn between comfort for Emily and concern for the woman who once held a significant part of their lives. Why now? He finally ventured, his voice steady but laced with a hint of protectiveness. Why, after all this time? Emily's heart thudded painfully in her chest. Could her mother really answer that question? Pray tell, what could explain a year's absence in just a few words? A part of her wanted to hear the answer, to allow a sliver of hope in, while another part clung tightly to the hurt. Her mother faltered, looking down at the worn floor, visibly grappling for strength. I realize that I need to be here for you, for Lily. For us. I've thought about you every day. The sincerity in her mother's voice struck an uneasy chord within Emily. She could feel something shifting in the air, in her mind, in her heart. Desperation fought against skepticism. Emily, her father interjected gently, stepping closer. Closer even than Emily could manage right now. No one can decide for you. But it's important to at least hear her out. You owe that to yourself and to Lily. The thought of her little girl's wide-eyed innocence and deep trust in Emily's instincts pressed against her heart. Could she really shut the door on this opportunity? The idea of Lily someday wishing for a connection with her own grandmother loomed large. Taking a deep breath, Emily glanced down at her daughter and saw the small glimmer of hope mirrored in her eyes, a beacon guiding her through the shadows of uncertainty. What do you want from me? She finally asked, her voice softer, edged with a tremor that revealed her vulnerability. I want to make amends. I want us to be a family again, her mother implored, stepping forward just slightly, as if daring to breach the invisible barrier. And a moment that felt eternal. Emily's mind swirled with all the moments lost, the birthday parties where her mother should have been, the moments shared that had solidified the bond but instead left a pit of sadness where love should thrive. Can we start with small things? She whispered, her heart aching for both the loss and potential for something new. A spark of hope flickered in her mother's eyes. Absolutely. I'll do whatever it takes. Before Emily could respond, Lily piped up again, the innocence of childhood casting a light on their heavy atmosphere. Can we make a whole rainbow of cookies now? The sheer simplicity of her daughter's request caused a smile to creep across Emily's lips. Perhaps, just perhaps, this Christmas could be a little more colorful after all. As they turned back to the table, the laughter of neighbors filtering in from the bustling living room, Emily felt that the next few moments could shift everything. Did this mean she was willing to allow her mother back into her life? The cookies needed icing, but so did their family. She cast one last glance at her mother, sensing a bond starting to fray and weave anew. Could this be the beginning of healing? Or would the cracks run too deep to fill? Emily reached for the frosting, her heart racing with both fear and excitement. As the frosting glided onto the cookie, she wondered if life could truly mirror the sweet symphony of colors she hoped to create. Could Lily's request for more colors bring about healing? Or would it only unearth old pain? Would she dare paint the future alongside her mother? The final strokes were yet to be made. The decision teetered on the edge of transformation. What would Emily choose to do next? Frosting covered the table in vibrant reds, greens, and yellows as Emily and her mother each took a turn smearing bright colors on the cookie sheets. It felt like a small miracle, a fragile truce that held the weight of their shattered past. Lily giggled, her laughter spilling into the air like sugar into a bowl, while Emily carefully surveyed her mother, gauging the sincerity behind her renewed enthusiasm. "Why don't we make the cookies look like our family?" Lily suggested, reaching for a cookie cutter shaped like a star. "This one can be you, Mommy." She pointed, and Emily felt a warmth spread through her at the sight of her daughter's simple joy. For a moment the room filled with a peaceful buzz, the smells of vanilla and sugar momentarily cloaking the tension lingering from earlier. Emily glanced at her mother, whose hands now moved purposefully, sprinkling colored sugar with a shaky excitement. It was as if the act of decorating was mending the frayed edges of their fractured relationship. But just as Emily began to relax, her heart sank with the thought of what it might take to fully forgive. She could feel the weight of doubt weighing down her newfound hope. Can a few cookies really fix everything? She wondered, more to herself than anyone else. "Mommy, look at this one." Lily's voice broke through her thoughts, prompting her to glance down at the cookie shaped like a heart. "We can share it." Emily's heart fractured again, this time a crack sewed with compassion and love. "Sure, sweetheart," she replied, forcing a smile even as her chest tightened with the reality of how long it had been since they truly shared anything, not just cookies, but the bigger moments that made a family whole. And then her mother's voice cut through the air softly. "Emily, can I talk to you for a second?" The expression on her mother's face flooded Emily with a cocktail of anxiety and curiosity. It didn't feel like the time for more confessions, but she couldn't ignore the way her mom's eyes sought her out, desperate and shiny, much like Lily's did. "Okay," she sighed, setting the frosting down. "What is it?" Her mom took a deep breath. "I can't change the past. I'd give anything to turn back time, but I can't. I just want you to understand how much I regret leaving. You and now Lily, you both mean everything to me." Emily met her gaze, struggling to balance the hope surging through her with the swirling doubts fluttering in her stomach. "But does regret even matter?" she asked, her voice heavy. "You can't take back the time you missed." Lily, oblivious to the underlying tension, piped in cheerfully, "Can we make a cookie that looks like Grandma too?" The innocence of her words hung in the air like fresh-baked cookies cooling on a rack, sweet yet somehow bittersweet. That struck a nerve. A smile flickered across Emily's face as she squatted down to face her little girl. "For now, let us make it a rainbow cookie," she said, and her heart inched a step closer to a semblance of acceptance. The weight was still there, but it felt a little lighter amidst the sprinkles and frosting. However, deep in her heart, a nagging question lingered. Could forgiveness truly be baked into the fabric of their newfound relationship? As they worked shoulder to shoulder, laughter floating in the air, Emily wondered if she could reshape her memories along with the dough. Could this holiday create a new chapter? Or would it only serve as a bittersweet reminder of what had come before? A sudden knock interrupted their bubble, jarring Emily from her thoughts. Who could it be? The doorbell rang again, more insistent this time, a sharp contrast to the peaceful atmosphere they'd built. "Who was that?" Lily asked, tilting her head with curiosity. Emily's heart dropped. What if it was someone from the past? Someone who might dredge up old wounds they weren't ready to face? She glanced at her mother, who mirrored the uncertainty on her face. "I don't know," Emily replied slowly, her instincts wrapping around her like a protective shield. "But do we want to find out?" The air crackled with anticipation, a question hanging in silence, mirroring Emily's anxiety. Would opening that door lead to healing, or would it fracture everything they were starting to mend? The knock came again, louder this time, echoing through the kitchen like a thunderclap. Emily couldn't help but feel the weight of it pressing down on her chest. A part of her wanted to ignore it, to bury herself in the frosting and the laughter, but that nagging curiosity remained, the kind that makes a heart race. "Mommy," Lily's voice pulled Emily from her thoughts. Her daughter's bright eyes were wide with excitement and concern. Who is it? Are we going to see? Emily exchanged a hesitant glance with her mother. She could see the fear and uncertainty mirrored in her mother's expression. Taking a deep breath, Emily raised herself off the floor, brushing flour from her hands. Let us just take a peek, okay? They moved towards the front door, the vibrant colors of the cookie decorations fading from focus as Emily's heart thundered in her ears. The door was painted a bright red, often associated with joy, but today it felt ominous, a barrier between the present warmth and whatever lay beyond. Lily clutched Emily's hand, her tiny fingers dancing nervously against her palm. What if it's a surprise? She whispered, her innocent excitement contrasting sharply with Emily's anxiety. Yeah, maybe, Emily replied, though she had her doubts. Revealing the door slowly, she was met with the sight of a familiar face. It was her sister Rachel standing there with a hesitant smile, half buried under a mountain of wrapped gifts. Surprise! Rachel exclaimed, her cheerful voice laced with a hint of nervousness. The air felt electric. Emily's heart swelled then constricted, a mixture of joy and fear. Rach, Emily stammered, caught somewhere between elation and the unease of past tensions resurfacing. What are you doing here? I know it's been a while, Rachel started, shifting the weight of the boxes in her arms. But I couldn't let another Christmas go by without seeing you guys. I brought gifts and I wanted to make amends. At her sister's words, oozing with sincerity, Emily felt something fragile awaken within her. The last few years had been a coalition of mismatched pieces, family events strained by absence and regret. Yet here stood Rachel, an open door to the possibility of healing. Mom! Lily cried out, her voice sweet and eager, the innocence of a child shining through. She bounced on her toes, yearning for the holiday spirit to reach its fullest form. Mom, is it okay if we invite her in? She asked, looking up at Emily with bright expectation. The question hung in the air, and Emily's breath caught. She turned to see her mother studying Rachel, her own past hurt tucked beneath a cautious surface. But something shifted. Emily watched as slowly her mother's features softened. A mini version of hope nestled in her eyes. Come in, Emily said finally, welcoming Rachel with an open heart that surprised even her. Let us celebrate together. As Rachel stepped inside, Lily rushed forward to help with the pile of gifts, glee radiating from her small frame. The tension in the room began to fracture like a fragile cookie under pressure, the hum of laughter trickling back in like the warmth of the freshly baked cookies on the table. But as Emily closed the door behind Rachel, she couldn't shake the weight of uncertainty settling into her gut. This unexpected reunion rippled through their carefully laid plans, stirring ghosts of the past in ways she wasn't quite ready to face. Could their family truly mend in the warmth of holiday cheer? Or was this just the beginning of more complicated emotions? The air felt thick with possibilities, and the smell of frosting hung in the air like a promise. But would this Christmas be about healing? Or would it unravel everything they were slowly beginning to stitch back together? Emily stood in the doorway, the festive atmosphere buzzing around her. As she watched Rachel step inside, she felt like she was crossing a tightrope of memories, half on solid ground, half perilously close to falling into the chasm of old wounds. The room filled with Lily's giggles as she tore into the brightly wrapped gifts, her small hands rendering the crinkly paper into a flurry of color. Look, Mommy! Look at this one! Lily exclaimed, holding up a plush toy that was somehow both silly and sweet. Rachel's laughter mingled with Lily's as they explored the contents of the presents, the tension in the room gradually melting away under the warmth they created. But even amid the joyous chaos, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this moment was precarious. Can I help, Aunt Rachel? Lily chirped, pulling at Rachel's sweater with excitement. Of course, kiddo. Let us see what else I brought, Rachel said, her voice bright despite the shadows lurking just beneath the surface. Emily shifted her weight, the sounds of laughter echoing around her as she joined her mother at the kitchen table. Her mother was eyeing Rachel, trying to gauge what this visit might mean. Emily could feel the uncertainty radiating off of her, a hesitant reluctance that didn't quite fit the festive spirit. Are you okay? Emily asked softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Her mother's face twisted into an expression of both resolve and vulnerability. I want to be, but... I know, Emily interjected, her heart racing at the words they might finally share. It's been a long time. Before her mother could respond, Lily burst into their conversation, eyes wide. Mommy, Aunt Rachel taught me a cool dance. You should join us. Dance? Emily echoed, her cheeks tinging pink. But that slight embarrassment melted away as she saw Rachel, her sister, the complicating piece of her heart, swaying and laughing with Lily. Despite the fears brewing under her skin, Emily couldn't help but feel a flicker of joy. With a hesitant smirk, Emily pushed the doubt aside. She took Rachel's outstretched hand, stepping into a rhythm she had forgotten, just for a moment. They danced together, a goofy, fun dance that carried the laughter of her daughter and reminded her that perhaps there could still be joy in a new chapter. Yet as the song faded, so did the spell. Reality crept back in like a stray note that just wouldn't resolve. The laughter brought back memories of shared childhood dreams, and the quarrels that had driven them apart. Can we talk? Emily ventured quietly, pulling Rachel aside once the energy settled. She didn't want to shatter this moment, but felt her heart yearn for clarity. Rachel nodded, the sheen of an unspoken understanding passing between them. The kitchen, once filled with the fragrant aroma of cookies, now felt heavier, suffused with anticipation. Emily's eyes darted to the window, watching the snow fall softly outside, cushioning the world in white. I'm sorry for everything, Rachel began. Her voice quivered slightly, the vulnerability brimming in her gaze. I've missed you all, me too. Emily breathed out, feeling the fissures expanding in her heart that were just begging to be mended. But we need to talk honestly about what happened. A sharp knock at the door interrupted their moment. Emily's heart sank, her pulse quickening. Was it another surprise? Or worse, a reminder of everything unresolved? Rachel's gaze met Emily's, the air growing thick with uncertainty once more. Would they be able to hold on to this fragile moment? Or would another guess shatter everything they were beginning to rebuild? With a final glance at her sister, Emily stepped away from the warmth of the kitchen and pulled open the door, bracing herself for whatever lay beyond. Emily's heart pounded as she opened the door, bracing for a challenge. To her surprise, standing there, half buried in a snowbank, was her older brother, Thomas. His cheeks were rosy from the cold, and the look on his face mirrored the uncertain joy swirling inside her. Emily, I didn't think I'd make it here in time, he exclaimed, dropping his bag and rushing forward to embrace her. The warmth of his arms wrapped around her, and for a moment, she melted into the familiarity of family. It's been too long. Thomas, as she was caught off guard by the surge of emotions. This is unexpected. Lily called. I couldn't stay away. I wanted to be here for you, for all of us, he said, glancing inside. There was a glimmer of hope in his eyes that flickered like the Christmas lights in the room. In that instant, everything shifted again. The heaviness that had clouded her mind seemed to dissipate. Emily felt like a flower opening up, crushed by winter but finally embracing the spring. Maybe love and connection were more powerful than regret and hurt. Come on in. She beckoned, stepping aside to let him in from the cold. Thomas stepped into the warm glow of the kitchen, and Lily's joyous squeals could be heard as she darted toward him. Uncle Thomas, you're here. Her little arms wrapped around him tight. The innocence and excitement flowed through the room, washing over everything like fresh snow blanketing the earth. Emily watched with a swell of warmth in her chest. For the first time in forever, the gnawing void left by their fractured family felt less significant. Here they were, her brother was home, Rachel was back, and their mother stood just a few feet away, the heaviness of unspoken words still lingering but softened by the presence of love. I brought some snacks. Thomas grinned, exposing a crinkled bag of cookies he had made. Not as fancy as what you've got going here, but still good. Cookies? Lily squealed again, her tiny fist pumping in delight. Can we eat them now? Absolutely. Cookie party, Thomas exclaimed, and in that moment, Emily felt a flutter of joy ripple through her. Perhaps scaffolding the fractures could begin with such simple joys. As the party atmosphere resumed, Emily found herself surrounded by her family, motions bursting with laughter and cheer. Her heart was still wary, yet the love enveloping her felt like a warm embrace, swaddling her in a sense of belonging she had long craved. Hey, Emily, Rachel nudged her softly, pulling her aside into a corner where they could talk without interruption. About what we were going to discuss, yeah, Emily prompted, her heart thumping. remembering the weight of their earlier conversation looming in the air. Let us do it now. But Rachel paused, glancing back to the chaotic kitchen scene, her face softening. It's just seeing you all together again. I can't help but think that maybe we can move forward. With that glimmer of hope, Emily felt something shift in her own heart. Perhaps this Christmas gathering was more than just festivity, it felt like a turning point. She wanted to believe they could weave their lives back together one thread at a time. Maybe we could start with small, honest steps, Emily replied, gratitude washing over her. That could lead to something beautiful. The tug of war in Emily's heart began to ease. Could it be that with each cookie they decorated, and each laugh that rang out, they wove a tapestry of connection that could heal old wounds? Absolutely, Rachel replied, the sincerity in her eyes shining brightly in the soft lighting. It's time we rebuilt together. No more hurt should stand between us. Their talk was interrupted as Thomas swooped in, grabbing Emily's shoulders. Okay, whose turn is it to decorate? Girl power, or can the boys have their shot? A little bit of both, Emily chimed, a smile breaking across her face. That's how it all began, laughter dancing amid flour and sugar, broken hearts stitching together with simple moments. As night fell, the chatter of spirits filled their home with warmth. The shadows of their past began to fade, and Emily felt the weight of fear lift off her shoulders. She embraced her family, feeling sparks of joy reverberate with every shared laugh. Standing at the center of their makeshift cookie assembly line, Emily glanced at each face around her, her sister, her brother, her mother, and her daughter. The realization washed over her. They were not just shaping cookies, but something far more vital. Something that had the power to transform their relationship back into something beautiful again. As they decorated, creating morsels of laughter and love, she found herself smiling wider than she had in years. And just like that, amidst the fun and chaos, she sensed her heart lifting higher, empowered by the hope that this new beginning could indeed blossom into a second chance at being a family. Ready for another round? Emily laughed, embracing the moment. Let us go. Rachel cheered as Lily jumped with excitement, pure joy radiating around them all. That night, beneath the twinkling lights and the nostalgia of laughter, Emily realized that love had the power to pull them through. This Christmas, surprisingly, could indeed be a celebration of unity, a promise to cherish what they had left, reforging their bonds into something spectacular. In the heart of Cedar Grove, as the snow fell gently outside, they embraced the warmth within, knowing they had the strength to weave their futures together once more, one colorful cookie at a time. Now, as this beautiful story draws to a close, I urge you, subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, and let it help others find this heartfelt journey. Comment your reactions and feelings about this ending, your voices matter. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. You need to support this channel. And together we'll continue spreading love and hope.